0024. Air raid sirens tear through Kyiv. Outside, it is 20 below zero, cold enough to kill a car battery in 40 minutes and a heating system in 6 hours. Somewhere above Sumy Oblast, the first wave is already crossing in. Dozens of drones, then dozens more. Slow, cheap, loud. Shahed 136s, Iranian-designed, Russian-built, flying at 170 kilometers per hour with 50 kilograms of explosives strapped to their bellies. They are heading south toward the capital, and they are not alone. Across 7 oblasts, from Chernihiv to Odessa, radar screens are lighting up like slot machines. 450 drones in the air. Behind them, 71 missiles, cruise, ballistic, hypersonic, already fueling or already flying. 521 objects in the sky, the largest Russian attack of the year. 3 million people in Kyiv are asleep, or trying to be. Most have dealt with this before. Some buildings still have no heat from the last attack 2 weeks ago. The metro stations are already filling up. Families with blankets, thermoses, children half asleep on benches. Above them, the city's air defense crews are running to positions in the dark, breath freezing before it leaves their mouths. The first explosions hit before 1 a.m. Anti-aircraft fire, debris falling on rooftops. The drones keep coming, 10, 20, 40, buzzing like lawnmowers at the edge of hearing, weaving between buildings at rooftop height. Ukrainian gunners are engaging, picking them off with machine guns, with Gepards, with shoulder-fired missiles from the backs of pickup trucks, and they are killing them. Dozens of Shaheds are dropping out of the sky across the country. But here is what the drone operators do not matter tonight. Every Shahed that dies is doing its job. Every missile a defender spends on a $20,000 drone is a missile that will not be there for what comes next. Because 5 days ago, Vladimir Putin made a promise, and the way he kept it is about to change how the world thinks about ceasefires. 5 days earlier, in Washington, Donald Trump sat at the head of a cabinet meeting and made an announcement. He had personally called Vladimir Putin. He had asked him, as a favor during the coldest winter in years, to stop bombing Kyiv and the towns around it. And Putin had agreed. 1 week, Trump told the room. I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kyiv and the various towns during this extraordinary cold. And he agreed to do that. The Kremlin confirmed it within hours. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov called it a personal request from the American president, accepted until the 1st of February. He refused to say whether the deal covered all strikes or just energy targets. He refused to say when it started. He declined every follow-up question. In Moscow, even the war bloggers were confused. Nobody had been briefed. In Kyiv, Volodymyr Zelensky was not celebrating. There is no ceasefire, he told reporters. There is no official agreement. There has been no direct dialogue and no direct agreements between us and Russia. He had heard promises before. In May of last year, Russia announced a 3-day humanitarian ceasefire and then shelled through all 3 days. But something did change. For 5 days, DTEK's thermal power plants were not hit. For 5 days, repair crews in Kyiv worked around the clock, reconnecting buildings that had been dark since January. For 5 days, the missiles stopped. What nobody in Washington seemed to ask was what Russia was doing with those 5 days. The answer was simple. Russia was loading Kh-101 cruise missiles onto the pylons of Tu-95 bombers at Engels Air Base, Kalibrs cruise missiles into the launch tubes of Black Sea submarines, Iskander-M ballistic missiles onto their transporter erector launchers in Bryansk Oblast, Zircon hypersonic missiles onto platforms in occupied Crimea, and 450 Shahed drones into their launch rails across the occupied south. All of it timed to the weather forecast. The pause expired on the 1st of February, the coldest night of the winter. 20 below in Kyiv, 25 below in Kharkiv, was the 3rd. 2 days before peace talks in Abu Dhabi. Putin did not break his word. He just made sure that when the clock ran out, the blow would be unsurvivable. The drones were still dying over Kyiv when the second wave launched. Somewhere over the Caspian, a formation of Tu-95 MS bombers, Cold War relics with propellers loud enough to be detected by sonar, opened their bomb bays and released Kh-101 cruise missiles. Each one weighs 2,400 kilograms, carries a 400-kilogram warhead, and costs around $13 million. But the price buys something remarkable. The KH-101 flies at 30 to 70 meters above the ground, following the terrain like a car follows a highway. Its radar cross-section is reduced to near stealth levels. It navigates by GLONASS satellite and an onboard terrain map, correcting its own course until it reaches a circular error probable of 6 to 10 meters. That is close enough to thread a missile through a specific window of a specific building from 3,500 kilometers away. They entered Ukrainian airspace low and quiet, heading for thermal power plants in Kyiv and Dnipro. Behind them came the Kalibrs, launched from submarines in the Black Sea. Slower than the KH-101s for most of the flight, but with a nasty surprise in the last 30 seconds. In the terminal phase, a Kalibr accelerates to Mach 2.9, 3 times the speed of sound, and dives onto its target before any close-range defense can react. 450 kilograms of high explosive arriving at a kilometer per second. And then came the weapons that no amount of preparation makes easy to stop. At 0110, ballistic missiles launched from Bryansk Oblast hit Kyiv. Iskander-M. These do not fly low and quiet. They fly high, fast, and angry. Mach 6 to 7, over 2,000 meters per second, carrying 480 kilograms on a trajectory that looks like an artillery shell fired by God. And in the terminal phase, the Iskander does something most ballistic missiles cannot. It maneuvers. It jinks, it weaves, it pulls random G-loads specifically designed to make interceptor missiles miss. Shooting one down requires a system that can calculate a new trajectory every fraction of a second. On the planet, only one ground-based system can do that reliably. From Crimea, Zircon hypersonic missiles join the attack. Mach 8 to 9. A kilometer every half second. At that speed, the air around the nose cone turns to plasma, and most radar systems lose tracking entirely. In Kharkiv, 11 Tornado S rockets slammed into 2 electrical substations, 7 into the Kharkivska, 4 into the Losevska. 11 precision rockets on 2 targets is not an attack. It is a guaranteed kill. Long-term recovery. Exactly as the Russian planners calculated. Every target that night was the same. Not ammunition depots, not command posts, not troop concentrations. Thermal power plants, combined heat and power stations. The infrastructure that keeps water liquid in radiators and air breathable in apartments at 25 below zero. Russia was not trying to win a battle. It was trying to freeze a country to death. And now all of it, subsonic, supersonic, hypersonic, ballistic, was converging on 6 regions simultaneously. The only thing standing between 521 weapons and millions of civilians was a patchwork of Western air defense systems that had never been tested at this scale. Here is the thing about 521 targets arriving at once. No single weapon stops them all. A Patriot missile that can kill a ballistic warhead at Mach 7 cannot economically justify chasing a plywood drone doing 170 clicks an hour. And a machine gunner on a pickup truck who is perfect against that drone will not even see an Iskander before it hits. Defending against everything requires something that did not exist 3 years ago: an orchestra. Ukraine built one. At the top, Patriot, the American-made system that can see 100 targets at once and engage 8 simultaneously. Its PAC-3 interceptor does not use explosives. It uses kinetic energy, hitting an incoming warhead nose-to-nose at a combined closing speed that turns both objects into plasma. It is the only ground-based system in Ukraine that can reliably kill an Iskander in its terminal dive, or chase a Zircon through its plasma trail at Mach 9. Tonight, every Patriot battery is reserved for one job: ballistic and hypersonic threats. Nothing else. A single PAC-3 interceptor costs $3.8 million. You do not spend that on a drone. In the middle, 9 Iris-T systems donated by Germany. Each one carries a radar, the TRML-4D, that tracks 1,500 targets simultaneously out to 250 kilometers. That is not a typo. 1,500. The missile itself is infrared guided, which means it homes on heat, not radar. Why does that matter tonight? Because Russia jams radar. Russian electronic warfare is among the best in the world. But you cannot jam infrared. You cannot electronically convince a seeker head that a 600 degrees Celsius engine exhaust is not there. The Iris-T locks on and does not let go. A single battery commander in Ukraine once described engaging 8 cruise missiles with 8 interceptors in 30 seconds. 100% kill rate. And an Iris-T interceptor costs roughly $485,000. Against a $13 million KH-101, that is the best trade in the history of warfare. Below the Iris-T sits the weapon that makes the whole system survivable, the Gepard. A German anti-aircraft gun on tracks, firing 35mm shells at 1,100 rounds per minute. It was designed in the Cold War to kill helicopters. It turned out to be surgically precise against slow, low-flying drones. A Shahed cruising at rooftop height is the easiest target a Gepard crew will ever see. Cost per engagement, a few $100s of ammunition against a $20,000 drone. And when even the Gepards cannot cover every approach, there is the last line: mobile fire groups. Soldiers in pickup trucks with heavy machine guns and shoulder-fired missiles. They hunt at night, they chase debris fields, they finish what the radars miss. A belt of 50 caliber ammunition costs less than a restaurant dinner. Against a drone worth $20,000, the math is absurd. If you are watching this and wondering how long Ukraine can keep this up, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because what happened in the next 6 hours is the reason this system exists. And it almost was not enough. 0010, Dnipro, the first explosions. Air defense operators across eastern Ukraine watch their screens flood. Contacts everywhere, north, south, east. Drones coming in groups of 10 and 20, splitting apart, regrouping, following pre-programmed paths designed to saturate coverage zones. The Gepards open up first. Short, sharp bursts. Tracers cutting across the black sky like laser pointers. One Shahed drops, then another, then 4 at once. In Kiev, the pattern is the same. Drones approach from multiple vectors. Mobile fire groups race through frozen streets to intercept. A heavy machine gun on the back of a Toyota opens fire on a drone passing between apartment towers. The burst connects. The Shahed cartwheels into an empty lot. The truck is already moving to the next intercept point. But the drones are doing their job. They are forcing the defenders to shoot, to move, to burn through ammunition. Every gun pointed at a Shahed is a gun not pointed at what is coming behind it. 0030, Kharkiv, combined attack. Drones and ballistic missiles arrive simultaneously. The air defense network splits its attention. Gepards track the drones, the upper echelon tracks the ballistics. Explosions rock the Slobidsky district. The attack on energy infrastructure has begun. Mayor Terekov posts to Telegram at 3:39 a.m. The city has been under continuous bombardment for over 3 hours. 0110, Kiev. Ballistic missiles inbound from Bryansk. The call goes out. Patriot locks. Fires. Intercept. Somewhere above the city, a warhead traveling at 2 kilometers per second meets a PAC-3 doing the same. There is no explosion, just a flash. Kinetic kill, pure physics, but not everything is caught. A drone slams into a 22-story apartment building. 16th and 17th floors. Fire erupts instantly. In Darnitsky district, a 26-story residential tower is burning. Emergency crews are climbing frozen stairwells in full gear, while outside it is 20 below and falling. Across 6 oblasts, the battle continues hour after hour. Iris-T batteries engage cruise missiles as they cross into protected zones. Lock, fire, kill, reacquire. NASAMS picks off what bleeds through. Skynex's guns track low-altitude threats on the southern approaches. 6 hours. No pause. No rotation. Crews standing on open positions in temperatures that cause frostbite in 15 minutes. In Kharkiv, Terekov makes the call. Drain the coolant from 820 buildings. The thermal power plant feeding them is destroyed. If the water stays in the pipes, it freezes. If it freezes, the pipes crack. If the pipes crack, the entire heating network is dead. Not for days, for months. Draining saves the system. But it also means 820 buildings full of families will have no heat tonight, tomorrow, or the day after. By dawn, it is over. The Air Force publishes the count. 38 missiles shot down out of 71. 412 drones destroyed or suppressed out of 450. Total, 450 targets neutralized out of 521, 90%. 90% sounds like victory. It is not. 90% of 521 still means 71 weapons reached their targets. 27 missiles, 31 drones. Every single one aimed at something that keeps people alive. In Kyiv, 1,100 buildings woke up without heat. In Darnitsky and Dniprovsky districts, emergency crews drained water from radiators and pipes in the freezing dark. The same desperate measure Kharkiv had made hours earlier. Mobile boiler shelters went up at 9 locations. The State Emergency Service deployed 63 heating points across both districts. In Kharkiv, 101 invincibility points opened around the clock. Warm rooms with hot drinks, power outlets, and cots. The mayor had told his city the truth. This is what -20 feels like when the power plant is rubble. In Odessa, 50,000 people lost electricity. In Vinnytsia, 50 communities went dark. DTEC's CEO posted footage of one of his thermal plants, a tangle of scorched metal and shattered concrete where a functioning power station had stood 8 hours earlier. He called it the most severe attack on the energy sector since the start of 2026. Now consider the alternative. Remove one layer. Without Patriot, every Iskander launched from Bryansk arrives. Mach 7, maneuvering. No other system in Ukraine's inventory can touch it. The Zircons from Crimea pass through unchallenged. The highest value targets, the substations connecting nuclear plants to the national grid, are gone. Not damaged, erased. Without Gepard and the mobile fire groups, 450 drones overwhelm the middle layer. Iris-T batteries are forced to engage Shaheds instead of cruise missiles, burning $500,000 interceptors on $20,000 targets. The magazines empty before the KH-101s arrive. The cruise missiles sail through. Without IRIST, every cruise missile finds its target. Thermal plants across 3 oblasts go dark in a single night. The heating network does not drain, it freezes solid, cracking thousands of kilometers of pipe at once. Recovery time? Not weeks, months. No single system won this fight. The orchestra did. Patriot held the ceiling. Iris-T held the middle. Gepard and Skynex swept the floor. And soldiers and pickup trucks chased what fell through the cracks at 20 below zero with machine guns and frostbitten hands. Later that day, a reporter asked Donald Trump about the attack. The President of the United States did not condemn it. He said 6 words. Putin kept his word on that. The pause ran from Sunday to Sunday. Russia honored 5 days. Then it launched the largest combined strike of the year against civilians in the coldest night of the winter, 48 hours before sitting down at a negotiating table. And the White House called it promise-keeping. Ukraine's air defenders did not wait for a statement. They were already reloading. Because the math of attrition does not care about diplomacy. Every interceptor fired is one fewer in the magazine. Every thermal plant hit takes weeks to rebuild. And the next attack is never a question of if, it is a question of when. If this breakdown helped you understand how modern air defense actually works under pressure, hit the like button and subscribe. Turn on the bell so you do not miss the next one. And let me know in the comments, with attacks at this scale, can Ukraine hold this level of defense without a major increase in Western resupply? This is War Horizon. See you on the next one.